Hey everybody, welcome back to Live Between Paychecks Kitchen. I'm Oz. Jack and Letty are still at Lake Jack's because COVID. And it's just after Christmas, so we're going to do something fancy, man. Every now and then, Thanksgiving, Christmas, we try to do something a little over $10. Everything else we do is usually under $10. This is fancy food, right? Like Thanksgiving, we did the full thing for $25. Christmas, so I'm going to do a beef Wellington, which is about $18 to $20. Right? Really fancy, really nice. It's something I've always heard about, always wanted to try, and my birthday's right after that. So this is my excuse to do this for my birthday. So before we get into it, be sure to like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, ring the little bells, do all that kind of stuff. Check out our merch. The description's down, will be down the link, and let's just get into it, man.
All right. So this looks like a lot of stuff, and it's actually a lot less what we usually use. This beef loin here is what you're really going to need. Now, I lucked out, and for $11, I got it pre-tied. You're going to need 1 shallot and 1 egg. You're going to need prosciutto. This is your other big hit to your pocketbook. You're going to need 6 to 12 slices of that. You're going to need to use some fresh thyme. You can use the dried stuff if you want. Fresh just seems to be fancier. You want mixed mushrooms or white mushrooms. I just got the white ones. They said about 1 pound of them. You're going to want your salt and pepper, right? And then another thing of puff pastry. Now, you want enough that's just going to cover this. I think this barely covers the one I got. That's right at 3 pounds. You're going to want some flake salt or some sea salt and some Dijon mustard, a little bit of olive oil. I'd like 2 tablespoons at the most, and then 2 tablespoons of butter. Salted or unsalted is your choice. I use unsalted. So first things first, you got this. You're going to need to tie it up with this butcher string. Like I said, for $11, it already came that way. Now take your salt and pepper, season it pretty good. Again, it's to taste. It's going to cook off a lot of this, right? But it helps with the flavor and the sear is what we're going to do. So go ahead and get that in. Rub it in if you need to, and then set it aside. Get you a decent sized skillet, something that's going to fit the entire thing. Put it up to about medium high, and then use about 2 tablespoons of your olive oil in the bottom. Get your pan lotion out and hit the bottom of that. Let that warm up. You want to leave it in there and warm it up until it starts smoking. So while you're doing that, go ahead and clean your shallots and your mushrooms. Clean your mushrooms. Always wash your veg. Right? Now that you got those cleaned, now that's still heating up, so we're going to mess with it. So you want a food processor, go ahead and chop these up as fine as possible. Little bitty pieces. If you don't, just get you a big knife. Shout out to Andy for the knife and the cutting board. He's stepping up his donations. I really appreciate that from him. And just cut these down as best as possible. Now watch that grease. It's starting to pop over there because there's a little bit of water, so I apologize. You can kind of see how it is. Now once it is hot enough where it's starting to smoke a little bit, just go ahead and put that loin in there. Now be careful. It's going to be hot and that grease is going to pop a little bit. You don't want it like smoking and blacking the thing out. So go ahead and sear it. You want it to get nice and brown on one side. So get back to your shallots. Go ahead and cut these down as much as possible. Now, I always grew up thinking that just green onions were shallots. They're not. They're a whole different thing. They're related to lilies, of all things. Whoop, don't mind me. I'm just messing with stuff in the back. So the trick is to cut all this stuff down just over and over and over. So just keep shoving it under your knife, man. The easiest way to do it. That way you don't cut your fingers. Just run your knife across it. Like here, what you're trying to avoid is big chunks like this. Like big chunks of shallot. Just tastes like onion, but it's like I said, it's related to the lily family, so it's different. Didn't know that. I got to learn something. You guys got to learn something, or you probably knew it. I've just been an idiot. So just keep cutting these down, and then the mushrooms, same thing. Just be nice and gentle with them. They're going to be round. Just cut them one way, cut them across the other way. Just keep running them under that knife. Do your entire set of those, and set those aside. Okay, once you get all those nice and chopped up. Now, your meat, about 2 to 5 minutes per side, depending on your heat and your elevation, will start getting this brown on one side. So you want to do all the sides, even the ends, right? So that's what this is. I already browned all the rest of it. Go ahead and just stand up. You don't have to hold it. Unless you got a small child or a roommate that doesn't mind standing there holding it, go ahead and get the ends nice and brown too. Before you do anything else, get you some scissors or a sharp knife. Be very careful. And go ahead and pull that butcher twine off there. You don't want to serve that to people. So once you got it nice and seared, pull this off, trash it, do all of it. Okay, this is what it looks like without it. So go ahead and put it in the fridge. Let that sit and chill for a little while. Get you a skillet, 2 tablespoons of butter, put it in there. Skillet at medium or so. And then you're going to saute all of this stuff. Just put all of it in there. Just go ahead and throw it in now. Now, as for the recipe, you leave it in there until the liquids are gone. So it's just going to keep browning down and browning down. Usually takes between 12 and 18 minutes, again, depending on the heat, the elevation, the humidity, all that kind of stuff. So just keep turning it. So you can kind of see the butter's melted, but then everything else started to, I guess, caramelize is the term. Like the water's starting to cook down, everything's starting to get thicker. So just keep doing that. So just keep patting it down, putting the meat on the metal, as it were, proverbial. So after about 15 minutes, look at this. Like you can see where it's browning. There's not any liquid underneath there. I'm digging around trying to find it. So once you get that done, pat it down and let it cook. See, now this, I kind of went a little overboard and I didn't stir it, so it kind of stuck to the bottom. This might be a bit too much, but it works. Okay, so once you get it down, get it nice and steamed off and all the liquid's gone, go ahead and pull that off the heat and put that in a bowl. Put it in the fridge right next to your stuff. Let that start cooling. So get you a nice flat area. Cutting board is perfect unless you got to counter stuff. Go ahead and put your oven at 425. That's 425. 425 degrees. That's Fahrenheit here in the States. Apologize to anybody else. So get you something. You want to put a little flour down. Depends on how well you do that. Now, before you get any of that stuff done, get you your mustard out. You're going to put, you're going to shake it. Don't want any mustard water on your fancy food, right? Get out your Dijon. You're going to put 2 tablespoons of this stuff on the outside. Now, find you a rubber spatula or one of those fancy brushes. I have to use my brush for my egg wash later, so I'm going to use a spatula here. Go ahead and try to get as much of that off as you can. There's my spatula. Try to scrape it out of that thing so I don't waste any. And then use the rest of that to kind of rub it on. Try to get most of the sides. You don't have to get all the sides, like the bottom, you know, because you're going to be wasting Dijon sticking to everything. So everything you can see, go ahead and rub that on. I expected the Dijon to be more in or on the meat once it was served, but it cooks into everything else. You really don't notice that it's there. So get you an egg in a bowl. Go ahead, put that in a bowl, and you're going to just beat it as fast as you can. All right, just keep beating it up. Just keep whipping it. Now, as you can see in the back, I put a little flour down. Didn't need to do that, but just to cover myself for the puff pastry, I went ahead and put the flour down. So now I got this down here. Now we'll try to argue to get this puff pastry open. Be sure to set out your puff pastry at least the day before in the refrigerator. Take it out of the freezer, put it in the fridge. That way it'll defrost where it won't be all hard. Now, it's got a thing of like wax paper or something on it. It's a pain in the neck. It won't stick to it right. But if you roll it out, it sticks to the back side of it. So then you just keep rolling it out and then fold it out the other side. So stretch this out and lay it. Whoop. Doesn't matter if you drop it or your butterfingers like I am. Just go ahead and lay it out. Try not to have any of these curved edges. Pull the paper off. Throw that out. So I should have stretched this a little bit more, but I didn't. So go ahead and get your puff pastry down. Go ahead and what they call shingle your prosciutto, this really thin salt pork stuff. Just lay it out. It already looks like that when it comes out of the package, but you want it just a little bit wider, so you have to pull it apart and put it back down there. Again, you don't want this stuff frozen. Just keep it in the fridge and you're fine. You can find it in delis. Like, I love a good prosciutto, but it's really hard to find, and it gets really expensive, so I don't usually have it. That was one package. I think it was like 6 pieces. I got the second one out at 12. It goes from end to end. This is kind of what you want. Now, your mushroom and shallots, you go ahead and just lay those out. It's got that thyme in it too. It's been in the fridge chilling for a little bit while you're doing all the rest of this stuff. Now, you want to spread it almost to the edge. You want to leave a little bit of the edge. It makes the dough stick a lot better to itself, as we learned from our pepperoni candy cane video. You might want to find that. Shameless plug, shameless plug. Go ahead and spread it out as best you can on the prosciutto, not all the way out to the dough. Alright, now you got your meat. It's already got the Dijon on it. It's drizzling a little bit. I didn't notice that when I filmed it. It's been sitting in the fridge cooling since you've been doing all the rest of this. Now, I'm going to show you the difficulty. I'd never done this before, and because I didn't stretch that dough out, it didn't go all the way around. I thought I could just roll this, but it didn't stretch. So halfway through, just kind of pull it around. It's not going to do the whole thing, which is fine. It doesn't have to be underneath it. As a matter of fact, I think it would be better if I didn't have the pastry on the bottom of the meat where it sits on the pan. You want to fold the corners and the ends up so that stuff doesn't fall out. What you want it to do is where it just looks like dough from the outside. It looks like a bunch of bread. I think this might have been a way for smuggling meat in the old days, but that'd just be me making up lore for a food to make it sound cool, or I might have heard it somewhere. So go ahead and pick this up. Put the hole, if it has one, on the bottom. Put your dough on the top. Go ahead and pat it down. You can feel it. It's kind of tight. It's gonna be really nice. It's heavy. It's gonna be nice and good. But you can flour your hands if it's sticking to you. But mine didn't have a problem with that. I've seen some where they had cuts in the top. Not needed. Purely decorative. And now your eggs that you beat earlier. All right. Where am I going? Oh yeah, I'm just getting rid of the fork. And then get you a brush, or you can use your finger, or a fork, or a spoon, or a spatula, and then just brush that whole thing down. What this does is it kind of seals everything there. It makes it brown on the outside. It makes it just this gorgeous color, and it gives it a little bit of a sheen when it's cooked. So it's really good looking. Now you can take some salt, put it on top. I wasn't a big fan of it, so put it in there for 40 minutes. Or until the internal temperature is 110, and that'll be about medium rare in the middle, and then more cooked out to the sides where the tips are. It gets more cooked where it's gray in the middle. So I put it in there after 40 minutes, and look how gorgeous this looks. Now everything's sizzling on the bottom. You can kind of see where it's bubbling, but it is really hard, and that puff pastry really works. Now I got a meat thermometer. I just got this. This is brand new. So go ahead and stick it in there. You want to get it to the middle of the meat. Don't want to push it all the way through. I don't know if you can see this, but it already blew past our 110 that we're going to, right up to like 125 or so, and it looked like it's still going. So this is cooked. This is done. This is absolutely what you want to do. So you can keep doing it a little bit more or not. I would just call it done right here. This is absolutely good. There's also what they call a green peppercorn sauce that goes with this. I didn't make it. I did find a jar, just kind of went over the schedule or off the budget a little more. But that's a great selling point. It's a great taste. But this tastes great by itself. This is absolutely amazing. This fed us all at Christmas. Had a couple pieces left over for my friends. I left them there. I very much enjoyed this. This is something that I think I will add to my special celebrations and special gathering stuff. So please, please try this, man. Let me know what you think and if you do any of this fancy food.
And there you have it, guys. That is outstanding. This stuff is great. Got to try this. Like I said, it's special. It went over a little budget, but hey, man, you don't get to have fancy food all the time. So for my birthday, perfect. So, yeah, if you do it differently, you want to see us do it differently in future, let us know. Put it down in the comments. Find us on social media. Find us over there, man. Find us at Facebook, Patreon, and Pinterest. Shout out to our patrons. Thank you. You can find us at all those at Live In Between Paychecks Kitchen. Again, thank you to the patrons. Without you, we couldn't do this. You can also find us at Instagram at Living Between. It's a lot shorter over there. So, Happy New Year. Happy late birthday to me. And I'll see y'all next time.